Before the video starts, I would just like to say this. Warning! This video is not made for kids. It's for older fans of Thomas and Friends and adults only. It's for a general audience. So YouTube, don't pull that made for kids crap on me. Alright? I'm sick of that. So anyways, if you haven't guessed, we are reviewing the Thomas Wooden Railway Gordon. Like I said last time in my Henry review. You can probably see a sneaky little tender off to the side. But we're not just reviewing Gordon. No, we are also reviewing James. So we got James and Gordon to review today, so it's going to be a double whammy review. We will start with Gordon first, then we'll get into James. James can wait. So let's first start with Gordon's box. Now Gordon's box, like Henry's, is a nice size. It's got a crisp image of Gordon on the front. Thomas Wooden Railway logo up here. The click track. Another Thomas Wooden Railway logo. And Gordon's name in a couple different languages. This little logo right here. It says Gordon on the side. Fisher Price. And it also has a nice sliding feature. You can see Gordon. Gordon can wait. I'll get into him in a minute. It does this little nose track sold separately, of course. With another Thomas Wooden Railway logo. And then at the back, another Thomas Wooden Railway logo at the back. Holding Gordon. Has a peg hook on the back. These little barcodes here. This one, now Gordon doesn't have a little price sticker on him because he didn't come from Barnes and Nobles like Henry, Thomas, and Edward. He came from Amazon. And I think James came from Amazon too. I think he did. I'm not sure. He probably did. He probably didn't. I don't know, but most of my characters that I got are from Barnes and Noble, so. And here's the bottom of the box with all this licensing info. And this side of the box. And the back again. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for this box. Now let's get into the big blue galloping sausage himself. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let's drag him out. Alright. Gordon is free from his from his cardboard prison. And I will gently get his pamphlet out, very gently, of course. And toss him this box off to the back. Whoop! Whoops. And off the back it goes. So before we get into Gordon, let's look at his pamphlet. Now, his pamphlet has a Thomas Wooden Railway logo on the front. It says Thomas and Friends on the back, plus Fisher Price. This little info right here. And if I open it up, we'll see if it's a Wave 1 pamphlet or a Wave 2 pamphlet. Now, this is a pamphlet that's new. It's a Wave 2 pamphlet. It should display all the characters on the front you can get. I will briefly go over the characters again. You can get Thomas, Percy, the Troublesome Drunk with Paint, Rosie, Troublesome Drunk with Crate, Toby, Diesel, Kevin, Nia, Hero, Henry, Kenji, Rebecca, Emily, Gordon, James, and Edward. So, there are those characters on the back. And the layout, I will briefly open it up, so that way you can see it. It's the exact same as Henry's and Edward's, so it says both are memories that last on the bottom here, and the click track was that little illustration of Thomas. And this whole layout with Knapford Station, Timness Sheds, and Brenda Blocks. Plus all the characters. So yeah, don't need this anymore, so yeet. And off the back it goes. Now, let's get into the thing we are all here for. Gordon and James. Here for Gordon and James. So let's look at Gordon first. So let's look at Gordon himself. What do I think of this Gordon? Yes. This is a pretty good Gordon model. It's got the correctly sized dome and funnel. Steam pipes I painted myself. Side cylinder and valve gear detail. Vivid detailing on him with handrails up here and here, up on his boiler and his cab, and 3D splashers. And a nice looking smoke box, front buffers with those Ole Miss buffers. He is a 460 in the show, and he was illustrated by Audrey. He was a 462 Pacific. This depicts him as a 10-wheeler, but if he had a trailing truck back here, that would make him a pretty long engine. So I see why they did this. They didn't want to make him too long, but they wanted to make him, like, still the appeal that he's a big engine. So he's not completely accurate in terms of wheel config, but it's fine. I'm happy enough with it, and yeah, it's Gordon. It says Gordon on the bottom, and it has a little cloud and information. I blacked out his cab and cab roof, and you might see he isn't smiling. He has this little surprised expression. Like, imagine he's pulling good strain, and he's just going, "Oh, the indignity! A good strain, the shame of it, the shame of it, oh, the shame of it." That's my Gordon impression. I hope you enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's what he looks like. He's like, "Oh, the indignity." Henry's giving a worried smile. Edward's like, "Oh God, what have Bill and Ben done now?" And Thomas is just looking cheeky. So, I love the facial expressions on these guys. They're awesome. So, that's Gordon's face. And he has a nice squashed down funnel. It gives him the appeal. Also, he has fully painted in wheels. So, he has those. And, yeah, he's an express engine. We'll put Gordon off to the back and grab his tender. Now, his tender is a nice size. Again, it's like Henry's, it's big. Underneath it says Gordon's tender with a little cloud and information right here. Blacked out, filled in wheels. Blacked out top of the tender around the coal load and front. And on the back, I gave him his oval buffers, buffer beam, and tail lamp. He has a nice crisp number 4 on the side, plus rivet detail, and little handrails on the side. So, it's a nice size. It's a nice, crisp-looking tender. Makes Gordon look really nice. But if I drag in a certain other blue engine, like Edward, who has a smaller tender, that's how Edward looks with his smaller tender. And that's how he looks with Gordon's tender. As you can see, he has quite a big tender. It makes him look quite large. It makes him a quite large engine now. Even though the number's incorrect. I'm half tempted to try and find 2 more Gordons and just steal the tenders. That doesn't look bad, but in my opinion, Edward just looks better with his normal tender. And we will get into size comparisons here in a minute. Just not right now. You see a certain green engine's tender in the background. But, yeah, that's overall Gordon. He's a nice big engine, like I said before. And, yeah, he's a nice looking steam engine. He's quite large. He has nice detail, like the properly sized dome. And he has a firebox glow. You can see it and you can see the rivets going along his boiler and cab, which I find really amazing. I love the amount of detail that were put into these engines. They're just, oh, they look so good. They just look amazing. And Gordon is among the best. He is awesome. I love him. So, before we get into James, we will do size comparisons. So, let's get into that. As you can see here, again, Gordon is a big engine. If we compare him to, like, Thomas, you can see that once he is a big engine. Compared to Thomas right there, in terms of length, he blows this little blue tank engine out of the water. Like, look at that. That is horrific. That is awesome. That's how Gordon should look. He's supposed to be a bigger engine. Also, Thomas quit rolling away. Thomas, thank you. As I quit rolling away, thank you. Stop it. So Gordon is a big engine. He's supposed to be big. He's supposed to be big and strong and... Thomas, would you stop running away? So stop it. Sorry, this table's at a slight angle, so it's a little wonky. Sorry about that. It's alright. I find it okay. It's good enough for reviews. So Gordon is indeed a big engine. Thomas, once again, looks cheeky, like he's about to pull a prank. Imagine Gordon sleeping, then Thomas comes up in his cheeky way. It goes like, wake up, lazy Bill. Wake up, lazy bones. Why don't you work hard like me? You can't catch me. And off he ran, laughing. And Gordon just is, oh, the indignity. How dare he wake up a flying engine like me? It pays sometimes to be such a large and splendid engine. One does have to keep up appearances or so. So, yeah, Thomas looks small. He's supposed to be a small engine compared to Gordon, and I think they nailed it here. They nailed it. They look amazing. Now, if I bring in Edward, Edward is a tender engine, but he's not as big as Edward. He's not as big as Gordon, I mean. He's smaller, like he was with Henry. We take away the tenders. There's Edward on top, Gordon's on the bottom. They have, the same detail features. I think they're a different shade of blue, too. They have different wheel configs, and they're different sizes. Edward might be a bit taller, but Gordon's longer and overall bigger. And his tenders, they're the exact same way. Gordon's tender is a bit longer and not tall. Maybe not be tall, might not be taller, but it is got beaten out Edward's tender in length. So if I give Gordon Edward's tender, that just looks wrong. Gordon should not have that teeny tiny tender. Should have a nice grand tender. And I don't hate the way Gordon's tender looks on Edward. That doesn't look bad. But it's not the best look for Edward. I much prefer his original tender, like the smaller one. So I like that look. I think it suits Edward better than Gordon's tender does. But yeah, like I said, Edward is a tender engine, but he's smaller. And he's supposed to be like that. He's supposed to be a smaller engine than Gordon, but he's supposed to be bigger than Thomas. Which I think they nailed it. But here comes the best comparison of all. With Thomas and Edward in the background, let's bring him in. Hello, fat face. Henry and Gordon. Holy crap, these two look amazing together. They're so good. Henry and his accurate wheel config, plus Gordon on top. I think he's a little longer than Henry. I'm not sure. Probably a smidge, maybe, sort of, kind of. He might be, I think they're the exact same size. But they have the same wheel config. In terms of engines, I think Henry is a little shorter than Gordon. That's the magnet to magnet. Yeah, I think Henry's a little shorter. So Henry's a bit shorter than Gordon, but I think his tender might be a bit bigger. Line up the magnets. Nope, 16 tender size. If you know if you watch Thomas and Friends, you know what this is a reference to. Swap their tenders around. And these two just look great. I love them so much. Gordon and Henry. Both of these two together look awesome. And I really hope they revive this line and give us more engines. Like Spencer and Charlie. I know people don't like Charlie, but I personally don't mind him. I like the way he looks, but I definitely want Spencer. But so if you're watching this, which I doubt you are, but please bring back Gordon Railway and give us Spencer. I want Spencer so bad. I really want him. He looked amazing compared to Gordon. And I think it just looked peak. Absolutely peak. But I don't think we might not get that. Which is a shame, but such is life. Henry does look amazing compared to Gordon. And all their faces, they're printed on. Like, just line them up on the back. How you can see all these characters. The first 4 engines on Sodor. Thomas, Edward, Henry, and Gordon. These all look amazing, and I love them so much. But, that is to be said, we still have another engine to look at. And he's splendid, he's red, and he's the fastest red engine on Sodor. It's James. Here's James. So let's take a look at his box. Again, it's a nice size, nice crisp image of James on the front. Thomas Wooden Railway logo. The clickety-clack truck up top. Another Thomas Wooden Railway logo. James' name in a couple different languages. This little logo right here says James and Fisher Price on the side. Track down included. Another Thomas Wooden Railway logo. If I open up the back, then we see his another Thomas Wooden Railway logo. And I haven't gotten into the back of his box yet. I'm gonna need to get that pamphlet out. But we have the peg hook on the back, all this info you need to know about the model, barcode, this logo on the side, and there's the bottom of the box. Let me flip it over. You can tell James is eager to come out. So we have all these logos on the bottom and info. So yeah, and again, a nice crisp image of James on the front of the box. So without any further ado, let's get him out. Come on out, James. Come on, James. Time to play. Here's James, the splendid red engine. Now let's get his box and say goodbye to this box. Whoop! And it's gone. Now, James doesn't have... He has a pamphlet, but I haven't gotten it out yet to see if he does have one. He probably does, but I just haven't gotten it out yet. But let's take a look at James, the splendid red engine. I'll take off his tender, and we will look at James. So, whenever I look at this James, I think James. This is a nice model of James with an accurate wheel config. His face is nice. He looks he looks happy. He's a happy James. It looks like he's going fast, or Top of him just told him he's getting a repaint. Now, I filled in his wheels with black and gave him white trim, which I think looks really good. Yeah, side rod detail, this little framework on the front, a nice long smoke box and tall funnel. He has a nice gold dome, plus 3D splashers, and a handrail going across his boiler with his smoke box. Over to his smoke box, which I gave a safety valve. He has a firebox glow in his cab, handrails on the back. I blacked out his cab, filled in his cab roof, and I gave him a whistle. He didn't have a whistle when I got him brand spanking new, but he does have printed buffer detail, and I gave him a black running board. I did the same thing to Gordon. So they both have black running boards. And James is a mixed traffic engine, so he can pull coaches. Oh, crap, dropped him. So he can pull coaches and trucks, just like Edward. And they're the exact same size. I love the way they handled James. Some people say he's a little wonky in proportion, but I personally don't see that. When I look at this model, I see James. I see a nice, splendid red engine that loves to boast about it and go fast. And also is, Fame. That was a song. That song goes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not going to start singing. So, Yeah, he actually has bogeys now. This is the first time he's had that in railway history. Gordon and Henry have had bogeys before, but Edward and James haven't. Gordon and Henry have. Names. Edward and James haven't, and Thomas obviously hasn't in his life. So, yeah, I love the way James looks. He's a nice, solid engine. It says James on the bottom with the clouds. And these little logos right here. And it says P3 and P4 on James's bogies. I don't know why. But he does have his 260 wheel configuration. 2 little pilot wheels up front and 6 large driving wheels with no trailing wheels. It's like Edward, but except him having a 3rd driving wheel, or 4th, 5th, and 6th driving wheel. He has 4 driving wheels, Edward has, but James has 6, which I like. I personally think that suits James really well. Some people like the original wooden railway James better, and I like it too. The 2013 James, it's a solid model of James. But I just prefer this James, because I don't currently own the original wooden railway James. Like, not the original, like the 2013 variant. So I can't compare any of these guys to one another. Well, to their counterparts, but I can compare them in size. That's what I can do. So, and size is really important in this line. We'll see that once we get to Percy, which is going to be the next video after this one. So, once we get to Percy, you'll be pretty impressed with his size. I'll show, he's going to be interesting. We got something to show you. But I like the way James looks. His lining, his handrails. Also, he has rivet detailing, just like Gordon, and Thomas, and Edward, and Henry. They all have rivet detailing, which I love. And I love the way he has printed buffer detailing. That's what Thomas Wood tried to do, and failed at, miserably. It looked like Trackmaster 2. But I think this James is really nice. I love it so much. Some people say he's wonky in proportions, but I don't see that with mine. I just see James. Some people say his boiler's too small or he's too long. No, I think he's just the right length. If he was too long, he'd probably be looking like Gordon or Henry. And if he was too short, he'd be looking like Thomas over there. But I don't see that. I don't see that when I see James. I see this, I guess. If this was a new wooden railway engine, which he is. And yeah, I was hoping to get another James to paint him black and make a black James, but since this line got discontinued and they're selling off all the stock, I don't think that's gonna happen now. And it's sad, but I don't really care. As long as I have a normal James, I'm happy. Which I really love this engine. Again, I love him. We hadn't gotten to his tender yet, and I'm giving this model plenty of praise. But I've praised James himself long enough. Let's get to his tender. I'll push him off next to Gordon. Over there. I love how James looks. He's looking forward like Edward is. Well, the rest of the guys are looking to the right. Don't know why. Oh god. And got it. Alright. And now let's get into James's tender. Here is James's tender, and yeah. It's small like Edward's, but it's not supposed to be too big. It's supposed to be small. It's smaller than Gordon's, which they nailed. James is smaller than Gordon. And 3 of these engines in this lineup here are from Wave 1, which is Thomas, Edward. Edward's Wave 2. Edward and Henry are Wave 2. Gordon and James and Thomas are all from Wave 1. So, I'm not going in wave order like I said before. I'm going them in number order. Like, Thomas is number 1, Edward's number 2, 3, Henry's 3, Gordon's 4, James is, 5. He has a nice, crisp number 5 on his tender and rivet detail. Plus white wheel walls on his tender wheels, filled in black wheels. It says James's tender on the bottom, and these little cloud, and these little logos. I gave him rear buffers and a tail lamp. Plus, I filled in the top of his tender and the front in black. And he has a nice 3D coal load like all the other engines. And Thomas also had his first 3D coal load. He's never had that before until now. James has a handrail and crisp number 5 on him. And yeah, it's supposed to be a small tender, and I think they nailed that here. It's not supposed to be bigger than Gordon's. And James, as a whole, he's a nice looking engine. Like, I think he's nice. I think he's nice looking. If I can stand still, James. Like, I think they nailed the small but big, like, big but small look with this model they were trying to go for with James, that James is, plus Edward, and I think they nailed it. I really love the way these guys look. They look amazing, they're well detailed, and even though they have friendly faces, I don't mind that. They capture the characters. Whether they're surprised, happy, or sad, doesn't really matter. At least they look like the characters while they're doing it. Like, Edward looks surprised, but he's looking like Edward while he's doing it. Gordon looks surprised, but he looks like Gordon while he's doing it. And all the other characters, they look like themselves. It might not be in their character, but at least they look like the character. Like, Henry is kind of giving a worried smile, but it looks like Henry. James is giving a nice, confident, vain smile, and that looks like James. And Thomas is being a little cheeky little idiot over here, and it looks like Thomas. Like, I love all these engines. They look amazing. And, of course, like I said with Edward is smaller than Gordon, and James has that same character trait. He is smaller than Gordon. Gordon is bigger. I've already showed him Gordon compared to Edward, which he is smaller. Gordon is bigger than James, same thing with the tender. But if I compare him to Edward, there is no difference in size. These two are the exact same size and length. Like, Edward is no longer than James. James is no longer than Edward. Of course, they're different colors. If you know what this is a reference to, you know. Alright? You know. That's all I'm gonna say. And if I just move Edward off to the back with Gordon and Henry, you can see James is bigger than Thomas. He is bigger. Which I like, because they're supposed to be bigger engines, and I think they nailed that. They've nailed their sizes perfectly. Like Thomas being the smallest of this bunch in front of your screen. He's not the smallest engine in Solar's roster. That ticket goes to like one of the minimum gauge engines. They're tiny. But in terms of length, I think the biggest one is Murdoch. But they haven't made a Murdoch. So the longest two in this, I can't definitively say which one's longer. I think Gordon and Henry will, no, I don't think, I'm positive, Gordon and Henry take the cake on it. Edward and James are minimum, or medium-sized engines, and Thomas is the smallest. And I feel like it's nice. I really like it. I love the way these characters look. Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, and James, they all look amazing. And I stand by my point. They all look great. I can't bash them in any way, shape, or form. But with all that being said, I'm still sad that this line got canned. But we still have the models to go by, whoever bought these guys, including me. And, yeah. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I think I've talked on long enough. So, it's time to sign off. So, that's it. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see next. Share this video with your friends, places, things, and blah, blah, blah. And that's gonna that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!